Welcome. You're with the Nasty Pastor. I'm back with another reading. I'm back with another chapter reading from Stolen Legacy. We left off at a point where we're talking about the Greeks. We're still talking about Aristotle, Plato, Socrates, and it's about time to, to understand that when I say we was a culture, where that we was forward thinkers. We had that part of the world in a state of awe. There's things we built, there's things we introduced to the world that there's no date and time recorded that brings it into Africa, that brings it into Upper Africa, that brings it into ancient Kemet, for you to understand we are the master builders. We are your problem solvers. We are your go-to, your understanding of life. I don't care if it's astrology. I don't care if it's physics. I don't care what subject it is. There's a Kemite, there's an ancient Egyptian in place that you have overlooked because they show no wealth, because they show that they're not rich. They show you poverty. They show you they're a minority. And what does that tell you is what? What? Come on. What does that tell you? Because see, the things I've heard, I don't agree with it. Some people say that, okay, for such and such to be on this earth this long, what have they achieved? You ever thought they achieved the most greatest part of life, the part of understanding is the covenant between whom they pray to? If you look at just a car, if you look at just a house, if you look at just a ring, if you're looking at materialistic things, then you're a part of the fickle-minded individuals that has crushed America. You get me? You're the problem. You're the problem. Anywho, once again, I am the Nasty Pastor. Please go to my YouTube channel, Only Faith Ministries, Kemet Edition. OFM Kemet Edition. You're going to find the playlist of Stolen Legacy readings. You're going to find the playlist of the teachings of Peter Hotel. You're going to find the playlist of On Isis and Osiris. And you will definitely find the playlist of the extras. Let's get into this chapter reading. And I believe we're starting with, I would say how I have uploaded it. We're starting with we're still in chapter 3, but we are starting with C, and C is going to carry us to to part 3. We're still dealing with part 2. Let me make sure it's part 2 or this part 3. How I did this part 1, part 2. Yeah, I broke part 2 down into 2 parts. You know what I mean? And we're gonna be finish this up with C, and we're gonna go into part 3. So let's roll. There was a Grand Lodge in Egypt which had associated schools and lodges in the ancient world. There were mystery schools, or what we would commonly call lodges, in Greece and other lands outside of Egypt, whose work was carried on according to the Osiris, the Grand Lodge of Egypt. Such schools have frequently been referred to as private or philosophic mysteries, and their founders were initiates of the Egyptian mysteries. The Ionian Temple at Dyma, the Lodge of Euclid at Megara, the Lodge of Pythagoras at Crotona, and the Orphic Temple at Delphi, with the schools of Plato and Aristotle. Consequently, we make a mistake when we suppose that the so-called Greek philosophers formulated new doctrines of their own, for their philosophy had been handed down by the Greek Egyptian hierophants through the mysteries. In addition to the control of the mysteries, the Grand Lodge permitted an exchange of visits between the various lodges in order to ensure the progress of the brethren in the secret science. You get me? Guaranteed progress. Why is it that right here, you know, I can't speak for California, I can't speak for Texas, but I can speak for Richmond, Virginia. Why is there no progress here? We're too busy being drug addicts. We're too busy being your common thief, your common criminal. And if this culture is supposed to be some prestigious, something that carries out, something that molds dignity into you, something that molds motivation into you, why do you motivate yourself to lie, steal, and kill? Why don't you motivate yourself to educate? Why? No money comes from it, right? There's no fun in educating others because you can't bamboozle them. Then you're Satan. You never realize that the curse put on your bloodline has never been lifted, and you keep letting it trickle down, trickle down, trickle down, trickle down because you are a weak individual. Somebody within your bloodline, somebody within your root, somebody within your tree has to change the curse that's been put on your family name, the curse that's been put on your bloodline. We are told in the Timaeus of Plato that aspirants for mystical wisdom visited Egypt for initiation, and were told by the priest of Sais that you Greeks are but children in the secret doctrine, but we're admitted to information enabling them to promote their spiritual advancement. Likewise, we are told by Jamblichus of a correspondence between Anibu and Porphyry. I'm going to pause right there for a minute and give you a little education how the Greeks became part of the Egyptian mystery system. See, when Cleopatra took the throne, you know, she started sleeping with the Greeks. She started Well, I'm gonna say it to you right, because this is what I really truly believe. Because she's a woman, she's a goddess on a throne, where that the outsiders are jealous, where that the outsiders saw a time of weakness. She went and got the Greeks to back her. You feel what I'm saying? Mark Antony, Caesar. You know, she probably had more men she was, you know, persuading to help her within the Greeks and the Roman culture, because, you know, Africa was divided. You got what I'm saying? It was divided. It wasn't a whole. So she went outside the land to be protected. You feel what I'm saying? So I say this to you, you know, when she bore a child, when she brought a child in the world from a Greek, you feel me? Greek influence entered Africa. Because her son went on to, you get what I'm saying? Her son went on to be a person of influence, of Eric, I want to say an heir of the throne. You got what I'm saying? So he was a big deal. You feel what I'm saying? So he was, you know, the people know to listen to this young man, know to value this young man's thoughts. You get it? Dealing with the fraternal relations existing between the various schools or lodges of instructions in different lands, how their members visited, greeted, and assisted one another in the secret science, the more advanced being obliged to afford assistance and instruction to their brethren. In the inferior orders, having stated that the Grand Lodge of Ancient Mysteries was situated in Egypt, with jurisdiction over all lodges and schools of the ancient world, it now remains to show that such a Grand Lodge did actually and physically exist. In doing so, two things are necessary. First, a description of the Egyptian temple, of which our modern mystery lodges are copies, and second, a description of the actual remains of the Grand and Sublime Lodge of ancient Egypt. We're going into another C, and honestly, it's about 1, 2, 3, 4 more C's that we're going to brush on through, and that's going on into C2. A description of the Egyptian temple. Here I quote two authorities on the Egyptian temple. The first, C.H. Vail of Ancient Mysteries, who says that the Egyptian temple were surrounded with pillars recording the number of the constellations and the signs of the zodiac, or the cycles of the planets, and each temple was supposed to be a microcosm, or a symbol of the temple of the universe, or of the starry vault called temple. The next authority is Max Muller, who in his Egyptian mythology has described Egyptian temples as follows. Egyptian temples were made of stone, the outer courts of mud bricks. Wide roads led to the temples for the convenience of processions, while the immediate entrance was lined with statues consisting of sphinx and other animals. The front wall formed two high-towered-like buildings called pylons, before which stood two granite obsoletes. Immediately behind the pylons came a large court where the congregation assembled and watched the sacrifices. Immediately next to the hall of the congregation came the hall of priests, And immediately following the hall of priests came the final chambers called the Adytum.